So when I did my PySpark series, there were some questions around Scala. So we had installed Spark, and with Spark comes Scala, and we were able to access the Spark shell via Scala, as well as the PySpark shell via Python. So there were questions around Scala itself. So how can you access the shell just for that without Spark? Well, when we installed Spark and we accessed the shell, it was through Scala, and Scala actually resided within that installation of Spark. So what we're going to do, we're going to install Scala in a couple of different ways. And so we're going to install it first as a standalone. You can just go into Scala and start using it. And then we're also going to install it using Maven. Now the difference between doing those two is you can start writing code in Scala just by installing it independently. But then if you wanted to actually build something and you wanted to manage your Scala code in the recommended way and start building applications, Java files, jar files, then you want to use a build tool. And there are a couple of typically used build tools. One is Maven, one is SBT. So let me just quickly get a browser up and I'll start showing you. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put in a search for Scala install, and so once you do that, once you do a search for Scala install, you'll probably be greeted with the first link, which is download Scala, and you'll come to the Scala official website, and then over here you've got the latest version, and you've got a couple of options on how to install it. So you've got download IntelliJ and download SBT. So the difference between these two, if you're using an IDE, and the typical one for Scala is going to be IntelliJ. And so, if you're familiar with IDEs and you feel more comfortable with IDEs, then you might want to, incorporate Scala, the use of Scala within that IDE. I stay away from IDEs. I don't use them at all. I just use Vim, as you guys know. So I won't be using IntelliJ. Now the other option is to download SBT. And so SBT, as described, is similar to Maven. It's just a different version of a build tool. It's the most popular one, and it's SBT stands for Scala Build Tool. So if you download that, then you can create projects which are in a recommended framework, and it will, you can start writing Scala code. Scala comes within SBT, and then you can package up a jar file. Now I'm going to avoid using that one as well, but I will use Maven, which does the same, and it's the one that I prefer. First I'll show you how to install Scala independently, and you don't really need to install Scala as well as install Maven, which is another build tool that is not just for Scala but also for Java, unlike SBT. But I'll show you how to install Scala independently, so it all makes sense. So if you scroll down the page, then you're going to come to archive. And so what we want to do, we just want to you can download that, you can click that and you can download it, and it will go straight to your downloads folder. But I'm just going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to download that in my terminal. So I'm just going to copy the link. I'm going to open up a terminal window, and I'm just going to open up a few tabs here. And just make that a little bit bigger. Alright, so I'm going to do a wget, and I'm just going to paste the link, and then I'm going to download that to my temp folder, and that will start downloading. So that's pretty quick. It's quite a small file. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cd into my temp folder, and it has downloaded here. So Scala 2.1.3. So now what I need to do, I just need to unpackage that. But before I unpackage it, I'm just going to create a destination folder, and the destination folder where I'm going to unpackage it to will be here. So if I just do a cd user local and ls all, so I'm going to put it in this folder. And if you've been following along with my Spark tutorials, when I installed Spark, I put it in the same location and created a folder for it. So what I need to do, I'm going to create a folder. So I need to use sudo. So make directory, and I'll call that Scala. And within that folder, I am going to create another one called binary. Now, the reason why I'm creating another one, you don't need to do this, but I'm creating a folder called binary because if I download binary files, I just want to put it in binary. If I want to download source files, which are a little bit different, where I need to compile it myself, then I'm going to put it in source. So there's there's different kind of installations and ways in which you can approach that. So just to manage things nicely, I'm going to put this binary file into a folder called binary. So I'll just create that, and just do ls. So there we can see Scala, and then I'm just going to go back to this folder, and I'm going to unpack my Scala compressed file. So in order to do that, I will do a sudo, and then don't want to do that, just do a control C. So sudo, just make sure I don't get any carriage returns, new lines on that, and then just paste that in. And I'm going to put that in my folder, user local Scala binary. So that's where I want to put it, and I'll just run that. Oh, actually, another mistake there. Control C, and just go back to sudo. I want to put in tar, and then xv ZF. Okay, so that's what I want to do. I want to unpackage it into, I need my permissions. I want to use tar to unpackage it, this file, into this directory. Okay, let's run that. Okay, so we can just go back over here. We can cd into Scala binary, and we can check the contents, and there it is. Before I proceed any further, I'm assuming that you've got Java installed, so you will need to have Java installed. And so the way in which you do that, I'll just quickly show you. First of all, let's check to see if we've got Java installed. I know I've got Java installed, so I can do a Java version. So I've got version 8 installed. If you don't have it installed, then all you need to do, you need to run two commands. Now, one is for the JVM and one is for the developer kit, or Java runtime and JDK, Java developer kit. So if you want to install 11, just like I have, then you can do a sudo apt install open jdk, sorry, jdk and 11 Java runtime environment, JRE, and I can just run that. So I've already got that installed, so it's saying I'm totally fine, and I don't need to install that again. Now the other one that we need to install, I'll just edit that, is the JDK. So if you want to be able to do development, then you would have this. Now I've already got that installed as well, so it's not going to install anything. So you definitely need to have Java installed before you can use Scala. So make sure that you've done that. So I'll just clear this screen, and I'll just go back to this one, or stay in this one. Okay, now the next thing that I need to do, I can come over here. I'll just cd and clear this screen. So the next thing that I need to do, now that I've unpackaged it, installed it, unpackaged it, sorry, I uncompressed it, put it into a location, I need to tell my system where it can find that version of Scala, wherever I put it. So I need to put that into my bashrc file. So if I just do a sudo vim, you might be using Nano, you might be using some other editor, but I'm using Vim, which is quite easy for me, and I'll just put the location, which is in my home directory, and bashrc. So I'm going to edit this file. So if you followed along with my previous Spark tutorials, then you can see that here I've got everything that I need, where to locate Spark, and yeah, so PySpark driver as well. Now what I want to do, I just want to put similar lines in here for my Scala installation. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a comment in here. So I'll just do it, insert, and it's going to be add these lines for Scala, and I'll do a Scala binary version. I'm just doing, if you're following along with me, it's totally fine, but you could do things to your own customized way. Because I put it in a binary, an additional directory called binary, then I'm just creating a variable called Scala binary version. And so let's just go over here and get the version. So, and we'll put that in my path or my variable, and then I want to do an export of Scala home equals, and then I just want to put the path, so let's copy that path, and then the folder where it is, and it's in here. Or actually, let's put that variable. So sorry, I'm flipping all over, I'm jumping all over the place because of these arrow keys are so close together and small. So let's avoid typing that and then just copy it. Okay, so what I can do, if I ever download another version of an updated version of Scala, and I wanted to switch to that, or downgrade my version of Scala and switch to that, then I can just make the change here. Okay, and then I'll just put another one in here, which is Scala path, and that will be equals path colon, and we're adding to the path our Scala variable path Scala home, and then where Scala is actually located, the application is in the bin folder. So I'll just quickly show you that. So if I just cd into there, then we've got the bin folder, and cd into bin, and then here's the actual application, Scala. So that's what it's looking for. And so this particular path says Scala bin version, what I created. It's in user local Scala binary, and then that's my version. And then within that path, then I want to go into the bin folder, and then inside that bin folder, that's where my application is. All right. So I'll just write and quit that, and then what I need to do is reload my bashrc file. So I'll just do a source, and then bashrc. Okay, that's reloaded. Now what I could do, I could just echo out that Scala path. So let's do a Scala home, and then here we have the path, and then yeah, we can start Scala. So I can just say Scala, and then it's running Scala version 2.13.4. Okay, so here we've got the Scala prompts, and you can just start writing code, and I'll just do a Control D to quit that. Alright, so there is a purpose of me showing you this first, because you know, if you're coming from Python, then you've got a very kind of different understanding of how we install things and work with libraries and applications. When you work with Java or Scala, it's not the same as Python. Python is pretty much system-wide, but Scala is all contained, and that's why I wanted to show you myself installing that. Now let me just do a Spark shell. So if I do a Spark shell, and we'll start up Spark. So if you remember how we installed stuff earlier on, sorry, if you remember how we installed Spark earlier on, then you'll remember that we can go into, you know, the Spark shell, and we can start using Scala, right? So there we have it. So as you can see, we've got a version of Scala 2.1.2. So that is self-contained within that installation of Spark, and up here we have Scala 2.13. So if I just go over to and just do another CD, well, let's just go into local. So I did a installation of Scala here, and I did an installation of Spark here. So Scala is self-contained within Scala here. It's just independent, you know, installation of Scala, nothing else surrounding it. And over here, Spark is based on Scala, and you know, you can also access the Scala shell, which is completely independent and operates within this directory, this build of Spark over here. So that's how you can use it interchangeably, and you can have Scala exist somewhere else, and Spark exists somewhere else, and something else existing elsewhere within your system. Very unlike Python, where it's all system-wide. You know, you have to, if you're going to install pip, if you're going to install Python, then it's going to affect everything everywhere, right? All right, so I wanted to show you that, but if you wanted to actually start building jar files and, you know, working in a particular way, then then my recommendation is to use Maven. Now, I recommend using Maven for one reason. They say it's a little bit more complicated than using SBT. So SBT being this one, and yeah, it's not that complicated. You just got to know what you're doing, right? And I'm going to show you that. So if you're a complete beginner, then you can follow along. So SBT is quite simple. It's quite stripped down, and Maven is a little bit different. So Maven, you'll probably come across that if you start working in an organization, then they're most likely going to be using Maven. So why not start using Maven rather than using SBT? SBT is pretty easy. So right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to download Maven. So let's we'll stay in this folder and we'll just quit Spark and we'll clear that. And so where we need to go to, we're going to go to Maven. Actually, I'll put in the full instead of doing a search for it, I'll put in the whole entire address. Maven .apache .org download .cgi. Okay, I think that's correct. So this is the page where you need to go to, and the latest version of Maven is 3.63. And so I'm just going to copy that address. I mean, I could just click on it and it will go to my download folder, but as you can see, I'm just going to do another wget, and I'm going to install that in my temp directory, and we'll just let that download, and then we'll go into cd temp, and here we can see Apache Maven. So let's just copy that, and what we want to do, exactly the same thing. I want to create a folder called Maven. And I need sudo rights for that. Okay, so I'm not going to create another folder called binary. I'm just going to it's just going to go straight into Maven. So what I want to do, I want to extract it. So sudo tar, and it will be fx or xvzf, and it's going to be the file, and it will go to my folder user local Maven. Okay, sometimes I misspell that as Mavern with an R, E-R-N, so yeah, just make sure I do that correctly. So I think that looks okay, and we can just unpack that. So now if I go into Maven, we've got Apache Maven 3.63. So so I'm going to keep that directory name. I'm not going to change it. because I like to keep my versions, so I can have multiple versions and I can just change my environment path to which one I want to use. So I could be working on a project which is an earlier version of Maven and or an earlier version of Scala, whatever, and that's the way you want to work with it, right? You just want to be able to change if you need to. All right. So the next thing I want to do, I just want to update my environment path. So I'll just probably go over here and do a sudo vim bashrc, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create some more lines here. So it will be add these lines for Maven. Alright, so now with Maven, there's also Maven is also dependent on Java, and you want to, at this stage, you want to set your Java path before you start writing the path for Maven. So what we'll do a I'll say Java path equals. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write a command, a terminal command, and I'm going to populate it into a variable which is Java path. And what it's going to do, it's going to look for my latest version of Java, which version of Java is being used on my system. So I'm going to say read link f, and then I'm going to do a lookup, which is which Java, and then pipe cut d. So it's gonna cut what's on the end of that path, and we'll say F5. Now the reason why I do this is because I might have the same setup on different types of systems, so that's why I want to be able to just to have one bit of source code which can read exactly what it is, what the installation is. And if I just go over to here and I'll just run that, Control C, then you can see exactly what it's doing. So that's where it's getting the full path to the Java binary. This code is cutting off the end of the path, so we have the version directory. So this is really what you want to set in your Java path, but this code is doing that for me. So I'll just go back over here. And now I want to do a export m2 home equals, sorry, I'm jumping too fast here. So export Java home, so I'm setting my path, equals Java path. Okay. Now what I want to do is export M2. Now what M2 is a repository folder which gets created in your home folder, and similar to Python where you would use pip and you would do a command like pip install whatever library you want, then it would install it in a location. Well, this is exactly the same thing. So M2 is like your package manager for Java or Scala libraries and where to place them. So this is where it would be in your M2 directory, and user local Maven, and then let's go over here, get the location, that particular version, and put it in there. Then what we want to do is export Maven home equals, and that will be exactly the same thing. And then we want to add that to our path, so we can do the same thing as we did here, but change that to Maven home. Sorry, M2 home. Okay, so I think that looks okay. I always do typing errors, so I'm just double checking to make sure I haven't done any typing errors on this occasion. Yeah, I think that looks okay. So if there's errors, we'll find out. So I'll just do a write and quit, and then I'll just reload. Just reload my bashrc. Okay, we've got an error, so we just need to go back and take a look at that. Let me just take a look at that error again. So I'm missing line 132 and 141. Okay, where am I missing? Oh, okay. I'm missing it here. And let's reload that, and we can do a echo Maven home. Okay, so that's set, and then what we can do, we can just do a MVN version, and that is installed. So we've got Apache Maven 3.63, and yeah, so everything is working okay with that. So that's the installation of Maven. And so what I'll do another tutorial, a second tutorial, where I show you how to create a project. So yeah, what I wanted to do, I wanted to show you how to install Maven and install Scala, and how you can access those two independently. Alright, cheers guys.